Hey, welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to cover the MAO calculation. Now, in the previous lecture, we did the ARVs, and we have this ARV estimate here, right, in this worksheet. Now, let's go to the MAO calc worksheet right here. Just click on that. Now, what you're going to see here is three separate boxes. This first box here is the MAO calculation following the 70% rule. Well, actually, whatever percent you want to put in there. But we're going to baseline start with 70%. If you want to change it to a different percentage, if you know your market is a little bit different, maybe you want to be more conservative. This market is not as attractive. It's more risky. You might use this 65% rule there, and it would adjust accordingly. Okay, but for default, we're going to set it at 70%. So this other box here is the fixed costs calculation method to get to the MAO. All right, and now this one, I'm going to go over in the next lecture that involves looking at here. But for this lecture, we're only going to look at this for now. Okay, and then this third box here is if you are trying to sell to a buy and hold investor. Okay, so let's take a look at the 70% rule calculation. I'm just going to blow it up a little bit so we can see it more clearly. The calculated ARV, this one, is actually here. So now that's what's calculated on that side. Now you can put in whatever you want. Right now is set to the same as the estimate from the ARV calc worksheet. Okay, so if you want to be more conservative, put to a nice round number, you can do that. All right, and then here, taking the 70% rule, it takes the ARV that you start with, then whatever percent rule you put here, it reduces it down. And then here's the rehab costs. Now, remember we had the rehab estimator. That's where this figure is coming from. If you want to round it up for the other people, for your potential buyers, you can do that as well, right? You can round it up. And then from that, once you subtract out that, then you have this estimated sale price to your flip buyer. Okay, so based on this calculation, based on these estimates, this is what the estimated sale price is to a flip buyer. Now, if you want to have a, wholesaling fee of $5,000, like if that's the profit you want to make from this deal, then your MAO is calculated here. But usually what you want to do is you want to add a little bit of extra padding. So here, this is where you can add the padding, or call the extra contingency here. And then it calculates a final MAO. So this gives you a little bit of more margin to work with, all right? So now the calculations here don't have to relate to what's in the rehab and ARV calc. I mean, ideally you want to work on the same deal, but if you are suddenly looking at something else, you can use this calculator to calculate something entirely different, right? If you want to look at something that's, say, has an ARV of 100,000, you can do that. That requires, maybe 15,000 in rehab costs, and if you'll want to make 5,000, that's very different now, right? For this deal, you can only make an offer of about 47,500. This is with your padding. If you want to make 5,000, and these are with those numbers. All right, but if you want to use the rehab estimator and the ARV calc worksheet for your deal, then this is what it's suggesting, right? So you can, for our example, we're going to just use what the estimates are, because you found good comps, they're reasonable comps. If you did your rehab estimates correctly, then this is going to be pretty reasonable as well. Now, if you wanted to make a higher profit, from the deal, then you just change what you want to make there, and then it calculates the new MAO for you. Now, if you're very confident you don't need any buffer or additional contingency, you set it to 0, then this MAO is going to equal to the initial estimate. Okay, so that's how you use this MAO calculator to calculate based on the 70% rule. All right, so when you have this here, you've done your estimate, you've done your rehab, you have the 70% here. This is the price that you're trying to get a flip investor to buy it from you for, okay? To buy the property from you. This is the fee that you're trying to make, and then this is what you're trying to get the property for from the seller, okay? So that's there. And the next one, we're going to look at the other calculation to the right.